What's going on, guys? Press here back a brand new video, and today we are going to be reviewing the F1 2015 Chinese Grand Prix, the third of 19 rounds of the F1 2015 season. And this review will contain spoilers, so if you guys haven't seen the Grand Prix, I would highly recommend you go and watch it. It was not the best Grand Prix this season, it certainly wasn't as good as Malaysia, but I do think it was slightly better in Australia. Certainly the battle for the top 6 positions, top 7 probably, weren't that exciting, but what was going on behind was pretty good. There were some decent battles involving Marcus Ericsson, Daniel Ricciardo, we had Pastor Maldonado, providing quite a bit of entertainment, but I'll get into that later. Anyway, let's start off with the race winner then, and spoiler alert, it was Lewis Hamilton then, taking his second win of the season. He's back to his winning ways, an absolutely dominating victory. Of course, the race was finished behind a safety car, if you guys didn't know. So of course the gap was only 0.007, but he had a comfortable 5-second lead. It wasn't the lead that he had last time, where it was like 25 seconds last year. But it was still a very commanding lead. When Rosberg kind of caught him up a bit, Hamilton just put the hammer down, set the fastest lap, reminding everyone he was always in control. He wasn't threatened at all, just like his teammate, really wasn't threatened. Nico Rosberg finished in second. Vettel finished in third. Just didn't have the pace. The Ferrari just didn't have the pace or the tyre wear to manage to match or catch Rosberg or Hamilton. Surprisingly, they basically just kind of copied the Mercs. They didn't try anything different. They did the soft, medium strategy. I was slightly surprised someone maybe like Raikkonen could have done the soft, medium, soft strategy, perhaps going on the soft tyres at the end, trying to close in on Vettel and the two Mercedes. But I suppose they betted against that. I suppose they're better at strategies than me. And they still managed to come home 3 and 4, so I think Ferrari are going to be fairly happy. Raikkonen possibly would have caught and maybe passed Vettel with a few laps to go, but of course the safety came out, neutralising the race, making, probably saving Vettel 3 points. It's debatable whether, he'd have passed him and if they'd done team orders and if indeed Raikkonen would have obeyed them. But yeah, pretty static and pretty kind of average race for Mercedes and Ferrari. They just did all they could. Rosberg just didn't have an answer to Hamilton's pace. Maybe I'll make a video on it, but it's kind of depressing that Nico Rosberg just can't match Lewis Hamilton. I said it all through last year, and I'm saying it at the start of the season. Rosberg just doesn't have the ability to win a world championship just because he's just not fast enough. He can't, he's just not in that kind of top class of Hamilton, Vettel and Alonso, and I think he's kind of down there, maybe in kind of the second or third tier with kind of Raikkonen, Button, maybe not even as high as them. I don't know, you guys can let me know down in the comment section below, how highly do you rate or how lowly do you rate Nico Rosberg, because he really hasn't got off to the best start of the season. I mean, of course he's got 3 podiums in a row if you look at it from that perspective, but he's driving the fastest car. He hasn't beaten his teammate in any qualifying or any race session. And even last year, he probably just had a bit of luck last year, I think, to stay so close, because this year it's looking like Lewis Hamilton's going to run away with this championship. Only bad luck, in my opinion. Only himself can stop Hamilton. Rosberg definitely can't, in my opinion. In 5th and 6th were the two Williams, making it a 2x2 from 1st all the way down to 6th. And we did have that for Lotus as well, but of course I'll come on to what happened to Maldonado in a minute. Pretty quiet race for Nasr and Bottas. Really great stuff from Nasr after his crash in FP2. Of course that wasn't his fault, that was a faulty rear wing, and then he broke the new front wing. So clearly that front wing not making too much difference. Nasr doing a really good job. He's started the season very positively, exactly how I thought he would start. He had such a strong end to 2014. He's managed to just carry that momentum into 2015. Although the Williams has dropped from the 2nd fastest to the 3rd fastest car, Nasr and Bottas are picking up all the points possible in a Williams and are doing an overall really good job. So credit to them. Nasr in 5th, Bottas in 6th. Remember, Grosjean picked up his first points of the season, and Lotus's first points of the season up in 7th. He'll score a mighty 6 points, which will be really pleasing for Grosjean and Lotus. Of course, they need to try and catch up with Sauber, of course, who got a double points finish today, and of course, scored points in Australia as well. Lotus had torrid luck so far. The pace, was really good today. It was much better than we'd seen previously. They had a decent qualifying, but really translated it into some really good race pace. They're looking really strong, only just behind Williams. They were basically matching them. If they could start higher up near the Williams, then who knows what could have happened. And if Lotus do bring a few upgrades, if Renault sort out, of course they're not with Renault anymore, if Mercedes, I suppose, just carry on with advantage, we could see Lotus kind of, having a good fight with Williams. That would be, I think, really good to see. Mercedes will then have 2 rear gunners, I suppose, Williams, Lotus, not close enough to Ferrari, but certainly, fending off any threat from behind. Behind them then in 8th was Felipe Nasr. It was going to be Max Verstappen. He was running in 8th all the way until the end before his engine blew up with 3 laps to go. Really unlucky stuff for him, as with his teammate as well. Sainz spun it on the first couple of laps. He started on the medium compound tyres, so then fell to the back. Then he lost gears. He had to stop on the main straight. Then he got it going again. Just had a really awful race for Sainz. Verstappen having a brilliant race, dive bombing everyone, making some decent moves. I mean, they were borderline dive bombs, but you know, he got to be racy. He's really proved his worth. You know, I can't say anything that, you know, anyone else hasn't said already about him. Just, you know, a lot of praise going on for him. Talking of rookies and brilliant performances, Felipe Nasr coming home in 8th place. Really good race from him. Sauber just didn't seem to have the race pace to kind of beat Lotus's, so it was a really good race for them to finish ahead of Red Bull, or certainly, you know, Nasr did in 8th. Ricciardo down in 9th. Really poor race for him. It wasn't the usual Ricciardo we've seen, making a lot of mistakes, making a real hash brown of trying to get past Marcus Ericsson. You know, just so kind of just, you know, making mistakes, letting Ericsson back pass, having to pass Ericsson like 5 or 6 times or something. So, you know, it wasn't a good race for Ricciardo, but a decent race from Ericsson. Really good defending from him. I've been impressed with him, to be honest, so far this season. I think he's proved his worth, although, you know, we all know he's there because of the money, but so is Nasr, and both of them, I think, have kind of starting to shake off that pay driver tag. I don't think Ericsson has completely, but I think he's doing a decent job, and I think he's worthy of a Sauber role. He's not worthy, I don't think, of any higher, but, you know, he's proved his, you know, he's worthy of this spot in Formula 1, and, you know, he's using it to his advantage. In 11th place, then just 2 seconds behind, well, actually, I suppose because of safety car. But, you know, who knows what could have happened, maybe if Perez would have got into the points. I doubt it, though. You know, that safety car, of course, neutralising the race. Sergio Perez then in 11th. Decent race from him. His teammate Hülkenberg retired with an engine failure. Gearbox failure. It was a shame for Hülkenberg. He was running highly up, as was Perez. You know, this is probably, you know, Perez's best race of the season. Yeah, you know, he's outside the points. Definitely better, I think, than Australia and Malaysia. So yeah, better things I think we've seen from Perez this weekend, coming from 15th up to 11th. So yeah, decent race for Sergio Perez. Fernando Alonso in 12th. I believe, I could be wrong, I think he gained the most positions of anyone. You know, up in 12th, and I believe he qualified 18th, I'm right in saying. So yeah, 6 positions again, that's probably the most. Decent race from Alonso and Button in 13th. You know, the 2 McLarens, what more can they actually do? You know, really kind of bad times for them. Of course, Alonso being lapped by the 2 Ferraris, you know, did not help. You know, all of them finishing a lap down from Ericsson downwards, all finishing a lap down. Sainz in 14th, as I mentioned, just, you know, torrid luck for him. Stevens and Merry coming on 15 and 16, good race from them, especially Stevens, you know, to beat Merry. That's what he's done all the way, you know, so far this season. You know, absolutely dominated him. He's beaten him in qualifying, you know, this weekend, and pretty much all through practice in kind of Malaysia and what we've seen so far, and also beating him in the race. So fantastic stuff from Stevens. I've actually been really impressed with him. I thought, you know, Merry would be on top. But obviously, you know, Stevens just got hold of the car better. He's got into it, and, you know, maybe, man, I need to be looking elsewhere for a second driver. You know, Merry's been pretty disappointing. You know, merry-go-round, as he got the nickname now, because, you know, he spun twice in Malaysia. But I don't know, we'll have to see. Maybe Merry had a problem. You never know with, like, Manor and McLaren who's got, like, the better car, because one could just be, like, kind of half broken down and just carrying on. So we never know. But anyway, the Stevens then and Merry finishing 15-16. Verstappen, Maldonado, Fiat, and Hülkenberg all finishing. All failing to finish. Of course, you know, all of them were failures. Well, actually, yeah, Maldonado had a few driver errors as well. Really shame for him, because he was running 7th. He managed to undercut his teammate, running really so well. He was matching and beating his teammate in terms of lap time, then just threw it all away. Spun, he then missed the pit lane, loads of losses at the time, and then of course that retirement. He crashed into Button. Well, I think Button probably crashed into him. You guys can let me know down in the comment section below, but in my opinion, it was probably Button's fault. Racing incident overall, but I'd say it was 60-40 Button's fault. You know, there's arguments for and against. I'm not going to argue with anyone, you know, I just respect people's opinions. Everyone has a different opinion on it, so yeah. Overall then, driver of the day, it's a tough one really. Who would you say? I mean, there's a few contenders, you know. Nasr had a good race after, you know, missing FET. Hamilton, you know, did his usual thing. You know, Vettel held on to 3rd. Grosjean, I'm going to say Grosjean, you know. Grosjean up in 7th, getting his first points of the season. Really good performance from him. Nasr also, you know, did an excellent job, but there was no real kind of stand-up performer. Verstappen, I suppose you could even have, you know, as a driver the day before his retirement. So, you guys can let me know, race racing. 6 out of 10. I think it's not going to go down as the best race of the season, but it's not going to go down as the worst. I think it was better than most people, saying it was. A lot of people only care about what's going on at the front. So if you do, it was probably a really bad race. Nothing happened at the front. It was just static for the top 7. Pretty much all the way through the race. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed then this review of the F1 2015 Chinese Grand Prix. The next round then is in Bahrain. My preview will be up tomorrow. Be sure to check that out and be sure to subscribe for more F1 2015 content. And of course, I'll be previewing the GP2 series season, which will be starting this weekend. See you guys next time. Goodbye.